and I'm Communications Development Director. I'm going to be joined by Reno, Cambridge, who is a Project and Communications Officer for NCUIH. And so we're going to be presenting to you a session on marketing assessment and outreach. We're going to have a project background, and then the need for assessment that we have, communication assessment for NCUIH as an organization, an assessment that we are doing for a national assessment of all UIHPs. Then we're going to have a summary of the recommendations, the importance of having a common language, showing off your work and making it work for you. That's something that Reno is going to approach. And then in the end, we're going to have more product and less work. What I wanted to do with this slide is communications as health. And so I came back to NCUIH 11 months ago, and so it was very interesting for me, after so many years of working at NCUIH, how things have changed, and also the platforms and the different channels that we had, how we were communicating with our members, how our members were being perceived in general from the outside community, from the internal community. So it was very interesting for me to see how things have evolved. And also to realize that communication had become a much more specialized field. As I remember, when I started working on the website and doing the KRC, et cetera, what we're trying to do is like gather all the information that we had and communicate with the, with the outside world, trying to explain what was the stigma and understand what was the position of the Native American communities in urban settings, and try to get our message across to our communities. So we're very concerned about that. But that was something that it was nice, and we were doing that, but we didn't have any practical measurement, right? So it was something that was needed, and it's there already. But then after years, when I came back, I realized there is a measurement now of how communications are taking place, and how communications, the field, evolved from being just, a set of tools that is supporting a program. It looks nice to have a newsletter over here or to post some pictures on the website, to actually being a measurement. So what I want to share with you is something that some analysis that I did about it. And there were two changes that took place in the last 5 years. One of them is technology. Now everything is so interactive, everything, you're expecting a quicker response, right? Especially if you're trying to reach out to people that are younger, some of your programs are trying to reach out to people that are younger, and they do not actually read newsletters or will participate in your listserv. They will do a lot of social media, right? So it's a new generation that is expecting a lot of interaction. And let me give you a very quick example. There is a new application that is called Vine. And many of your kids probably would have heard about it, or people who are in high school. And you get 10 seconds to provide a message. And let me do something very quickly. I'm just going to count to 5 seconds, and you will see how it lose your attention. 1, 2, 3, 4. Correct? So you have 10 seconds. So this is how interactive it is, not only for younger kids, but we have all of our iPhones or smartphones, and we are losing attention of the people that quickly. So that is why, actually providing a message without speaking or having people read. Now it's image, 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 providing image and messages, right? So the interaction is quicker. You're trying to reach out to people that you were not used to. So those are two things that have changed: the technology, how we interact, and the other is the healthcare reform. So when I came back, I realized there was a measurement, right? We have to engage people. We have to enroll people in the marketplace. We have to, and there is a measurement. How many people have you enrolled? So those two things combined have created a real challenge and an opportunity for our programs to use communications as tools for development, as tools to create some awareness about health, right? In many ways, from just the public health side to actually something that is clinical, medical, behavioral, et cetera. So those two changes have brought about a lot of changes, and at NCUIH, we're trying to keep up with that. So in the past, some 10 years ago or some 5 years ago even, you may remember we were like, okay, let's all gather ourselves because we need an action alert for, fighting the zeroing out of, the UIHP line item, and we would all gather, and it was very specific. It was a campaign, to do this. Right now, there is a continuous campaign to actually reach out to people that has become a permanent thing, right? That is something that you have to showcase all the work that you're doing all the time. So that is something that we're trying to prepare ourselves So NCUIH, as you all know, we are happy to be and devoted to be the voice and representation of all UIHPs across the nation. And therefore, when I came back and I started working with Reno again, we realized there were many channels, right? This evolution had brought about a lot of challenges internally at NCUIH. There were so many platforms. I could tell you like around 11 platforms of communication that, every single person was using something different, like Salsa Labs or WordPress, and then, or was Facebook, and so many platforms that, it was taking too much time to be optimal. So it was a time in which, we expanded, we developed, and that we needed to have something integrated. And second is with the external platforms, we're also not being the optimal ones. So instead of going just about just creating a campaign to help you and to assume that you had these capabilities, we decided to do two things. The first one was an internal assessment, how NCUIH, that's something that Reno is going to present, and the other one is an environmental scan. What are the capabilities of the UIHPs, so that we create tools that actually work for you instead of assuming. So instead of assuming, we wanted to get the knowledge.
So throughout the conference, we've heard multiple people talk about knowing your community, know who your clients are, know who are you reaching out to. So for us as a national organization, we realize that we have a very broad spectrum of people that we're trying to reach out to. So one of the first things we did on the internal assessment is to catalog all of our platforms on how we communicate. Second is we want to identify how do people receive information. I spoke with multiple people over the past 2 days, and we're seeing more and more of a divide in our clientele. We're seeing some of our older generations that are moving up there that are still really involved and still holding down strong. Then we have a whole new generation of youth that are coming out of college. They're moving faster, they're using different technology. And so we took a snapshot of the national aggregate of how people receive information. So out of all the United States, 71% of all internet users use one form of social media or the other. Facebook stands out as by far the highest. 71% use Facebook alone. This includes anybody with a smartphone. But yeah, so out of all the people who have smartphones, how many have Facebook? You can see there's a very high amount of the same people that use it. Using that information, using Twitter, 23% of all adult users, 19% of all adults 19 and over use Twitter. If you go down a couple notes, there is 52% of all people who use one form of social media. And again, this considers Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. So using all of them, 52% use two or more. So right there, it shows you that people are using multiple avenues, and that's even better for us to be able to get our information out to them. If you look down to the bottom there, 1 in 3 of all Americans have said social media in one way has impacted the way that they invest their money, whether it's donations. Right now, one of the big things that are coming up is one button, one click donations. Everybody should have that on your website. Everybody should have that on any of your social media or any of your electronic newsletters, be able to donate right away. So for our NCUIH internal assessment, we reached out to a third-party organization called Desitel Hague. They are out of Spokane, Washington. They're a Native-owned organization. They have had partnerships with different membership programs, and they were referred to us. Fantastic organization. They were really good communications with us on going through it. And so we analyzed our 11 different platforms of what we use. Currently, NCUIH has 3 main websites. We have our main NCUIH website that everybody knows, NCUIH.org. We have a policy-driven website called urbanindianhealth.org that is strictly specific on ACA resources. We also have the KRC, a Knowledge Resource Center, is an online repository. It's an online library for all resources considered for the history of legislation and policy for urban Indian Healthcare and Indian Healthcare Improvement Act. We also did our multiple platforms of social media. We have a Facebook, a Twitter, a YouTube account. Using those analytics that are completely free to inspect. It's a great way to see how many people are actually interacting with your information. We also did our policy blog that we have posted on our website, as well as 2 community of learnings that is ran through the Technical Assistance and Research Center. So with the feedback from that internal assessment, we realized that we had some issues to address. We have had some changeover, but also in the history of NCUIH, we have undergone multiple updates of our logo, our branding, and in that, some of it has stuck in like residue. And so we realized that we have multiple platforms that don't quite sync together. And it's a common issue. They say professionally about every 5 years, you should go through a process of updating all your images, updating your software. About 5 years is that turnover time. Anything before that, you should start archiving it and saving it. Don't ever delete anything. We also realized that a lot of the social media that we put out is educational. It's strong information that's coming out from the membership, but it's not very engaging. And one thing we got to understand with social media and with online resources, it's a great opportunity for your community to talk back to you, to give you honest feedback without pressure of making it feel like it's hurting your feelings. It's a great opportunity. We have surveys here that are anonymous for that exact reason. We want you all to be open and honest with us, and that's the best information we're gonna have to progress for communication, but as an organization. And then I'll actually be coming back to this topic a little later on. It's about repurposing your information. We understand it's very hard to create content and to keep it going. It's very important to use the content that you have ingrained in your organization and spread it out across the board. It's effective. So some of the recommendations that we received. So as you can see on the images right there, we're rebranding. We're rebranding NCUIH. We're using a different color palette, and we're really focusing on uniting all of the different 11 platforms into a common theme, common images, common color, and allows you to get an overall sense of what NCUIH is and all the outlets that we have. It's very important for organizations to have a common theme across and always reflect back and forth. So if you have one website that's on research and you got one for your main website, they should always feed back to each other, always link back. Social media, it's always important to tag your website on there. You want to drive people to look at what you're producing. One of the second ones, actually the third challenge that we're going for is also creating a steady platform of communication in-house. We have, as Alejandro said, we have multiple platforms on how we share information, maybe SharePoint, Salsa Labs, Adobe Connect. It's very important to identify and create a strong structure on how your organization communicates, not just externally, but in-house. Formulas, anything you want posted on social media, there should be a systematic process for everybody in your organization can contribute, but also make it easy for it to be shared.
Because I think there are some things that we can share with you that you can take as a recommendation of best practice. You can take a look at the mistakes that we have made. Over the years, we have used very different branding, and that actually doesn't help to create a single messaging, right? Also, using different platforms, just because, somebody's more comfortable using one platform or the other, it can really slow down things. For instance, when I came back and I realized Reno was actually taking a long time because he was using so many different platforms. And one of the things that technology allows is actually integration. You can post something, and Reno will show you in a little bit, you can post something and it can go into so many different platforms, and it's a one single posting. And right now we're using so many platforms in different ways that was actually creating more problems than actually help solving something. So the next thing that we wanted to see is if we're going to start creating or supporting or participating in national campaigns for national initiatives stemming from IHS or other partners that are having health or public health initiatives, we didn't want to assume that you had certain capabilities. So we went and created an assessment. We contracted with this Native American company, and we asked them to do two things. The first one is we had the first phase of this project. It's called the Marketing Outreach Project. Is a preliminary online assessment. They didn't reach out to you. They went online, looked at your website, made an analysis, also signed up for any services that you had online, publicly available, free, right? And so they made an analysis. So that was the first one, and we're going to present some of the results of that here. And then the second phase, survey membership, which is something that I have been asking you guys to help me with, so that there is a public phase that everyone can see, and then your own perception about how you engage your community. Both of that is going to be analyzed, and they are a Native American organization, so they're culturally competent, and so they're going to provide us with an analysis, and from there, A plus B plus C, the analysis, is going to make the national capabilities assessment. That is what we're going to use as a baseline to create tools to support you in the next fiscal year, which is what we're trying to do for the next year, right? So some of the recommendations that we have from that, the project is going to end in July. We're going to create an outline for a toolkit, and then we will start working from there. This preliminary assessment showed some results. I'm going to share some with you very quickly. We have 33 of the 35 UIHPs have a website, right? And then 29 out of the 35, and let me tell you why we have 35, is because Boston and Baltimore got combined, correct, Reno?
Yes, it was only through our current members. So there was 3 programs in California
Yes,
that
right.
weren't our members at the time. They weren't addressed in this assessment, but that's how we got the 35.
So 82% of our programs or members have Facebook, 34% or 12 use Twitter, and 14% or just 5 UIHPs have newsletters, and then only 20% use YouTube, right? So these are different platforms that programs use. And then, so we had an analysis that in the end of the project, once we have the second phase, then we're gonna share with you the whole analysis, right? So if you're holding on to that the survey that I gave you, please send it back to us. We're gonna have an online SurveyMonkey link as well if you haven't filled it out. And so some of the things that I wanted to share with you, I think the most important thing for us, more than analyzing, in aggregate, what the situation is, for us to know, instead of assuming, we can just send it out to the members and they can just replicate this information. It's like, okay, where are we? Where can we provide tools that are actually of help for each one of the communities? We know that different organizations have different capabilities, but I will share something with you. Some of the smallest programs have the largest numbers of Facebook users. So, and that is because maybe they are trying to reach out to more people using this social media. Sometimes it depends on who you have as a communication person, et cetera. So there are some very interesting data there. We are a national organization, so we don't single out anyone. We provide the analysis in aggregate. So we'll be sharing that with you all, so you can use it as well for your own program.
So that was the communication part of our presentation. We're actually going to move on towards the marketing part. It's actually sharing your information, getting it out there. I know we've been talking a lot about social media. The reason I put that out there and I'm so strongly supportive of it, it's free. It's very important for us to have very limited resources. We got to use anything we can that's free. So you got to forgive me. I was actually under the impression we were going to have crescent or half circle tables. So I have a little activity, but instead we're just going to roll with what we have. I'm just going to ask a question, and then feel free, speak up. What I want to ask is, if you were going to communicate with somebody and you couldn't use words, what would you do? Text. All right. What else? Nod. Yeah. So how about if you're trying to reach out for a community event? If you're unable to use words, how would you describe a community event? What would you do? You draw pictures? You would have to find out multiple ways. There's no one way to actually get the attention of all your clientele. It's very important to use multiple ways. Social media is one. We do printed newsletters. We get actually a lot of positive feedback from some of the executive directors about having a newsletter you can open up and actually read. We have an electronic newsletter that goes out once a month. Social media, we do webinars. It's very important for us to make sure we have a lot of avenues open for you to communicate, for us to communicate out, but also to get feedback. So now that you have content, now is how do you make your work for you? How do you make your content be profitable or purposeful for your organization? And really, when you look at everything that's out there, NCUIH itself, we have 11 platforms. It's a daunting task to try to navigate each one of them. So it's very important to be able to streamline that process, to create mechanisms that allow you to use your content and get it out there, and allow you to either have people sign up for your events, to do awareness. If you're doing HIV or AIDS awareness events and you want people to come on out, Twitter is by far the best one. It's active. I know there's a couple programs that are really successful in their social media. It's up and coming. We can ignore it, but it's up and coming, and it's something that's useful and that we can utilize it. And if any organization has questions or needs help with how to start social media platform, how to get it going, you need help with campaigns or events, feel free to reach out. Our information is at the last slide. Please send me an email. I'm more than helpful, or more than happy to help you all out. And I think in time, at the end of this project, we're gonna get some really strong marching orders from the membership on how we can unite all our different platforms and create common goals, common achievements that we can all work together. And I think social media is one of the easiest ways that we can all be on the same line. It's been coming out with ACA outreach, the National Indian Health Outreach and Education. To bring communities together, it's very important for us to have a common goal. And I think that this is one of the great ways and most affordable. So more product, less work. Isn't that the goal for all of us? Why reinvent the wheel over and over and over? It's very important to streamline your communication. It's a daunting task to try to update everything all day long. If you have a blog, I'm sure it's kind of hard to blog every day, but now when you throw in Twitter, Facebook, trying to do YouTube, it's a daunting task. It's very important for you to use your content and use it effectively, because I know with all the organizations I work for, we don't have the opportunity to have a designated communications center of 5, 6 people updating all our information. It's very important to repurpose it. One of the ways we do it in NCUIH, that in a couple years of actually working and developing our own format, we would create a blog, so like a policy blog, policy update that Rudy, Donna, I know that you helped out. We took a story, we snapped some pictures, we created it into a blog. That went to the website. We then cut the URL, the www, at the top of that page, posted in our social media, and automatically a picture comes up and a short blurb. Now that you're actually able to switch back and forth. So you can share your Facebook posts on your Twitter on Facebook. They're all very friendly now. It's a great opportunity to share that. You take that same blog, you cut it out, you put it into your electronic newsletter, you got your next article, you take that out, you put it into your print newsletter, and you're just repurposing it. It is important because content is hard to come by. You know, all the steps it takes to actually get that white paper, it's important to be able to utilize it to the most effective way. So do we have time for the video? Yeah. Want to do the video? Yeah. So is Leanne here? Leanne? No? Okay, perfect. So I don't know, are you gonna be able to select the one on the right, please? So what we did here is try to do we tried to do a very small social media campaign. So using my cell phone, we did a 30-second video asking what is the importance of urban Indian health programs. Now, every one of us in this room knows exactly, we know a lot of ways that the uniqueness and the purpose of urban Indian health programs and how they're effective. And the problem is outside of this room. How do we get that information out there? How do we grow it? How do we expand and expand our network? Social media, these little videos like this, it's great. You can just share it everywhere. What I did here is walked around, I interviewed a couple executive directors, 30-second question with my cell phone. Uploaded to YouTube right on my phone, and you're given a link, and you can share that. I pasted in this PowerPoint presentation, and I have Leanne here, so go ahead. If you play. All right, ready? So, Leanne Johnson, what do you feel is unique about urban Indian health programs?
We provide, we're a resource for our people who come maybe from the reservation, whether it's for education, health, or housing. And we're a link between their cultural world and the urban setting.
I want to mention something very quickly, if I want. And so think about it, you know, she's speaking to an audience here where everyone knows what urban Indian health is. And probably a generation of people who have worked with that. But if you think about it and you post this on Facebook, on Twitter, you'll be reaching out to people that are not within your network, that are going to be outside your network, people that you don't talk to every day, young people that may not want to talk to you in person, and that will, you know, be having or getting a message that you would not be able to tell them otherwise. So that's just thinking about outside of our box, right?
Yes. So as you can see, it's a short little video. You post that and people share it. And as Alejandro said, you're actually targeting other people's network. That's the great thing. So for us, we started out 3 years ago, we had 314 people on our social media. Right now we have about 1,800, and that's in 2 years. We're continuing to push. We want to keep growing. But social media marketing, this is a campaign. This is the start of a campaign here. If I was to ask every one of you here, what is the purpose of urban Indian health programs? We linked that all together, and that's 38 voices in 22 states that are all combining on what is the purpose of urban Indian health programs. Now, when we go to the Hill, when we're in Washington, D.C., we don't have 20 minutes of a congressman's ear, but we do have 30 seconds. It's important, it's out there. So Phil, I know we're running a little overboard, but here's our contact information. Please reach out, let us know how we can help you. If you have any questions, feel free, reach me afterwards, come on up. We're gonna be here for a little while, but again, I have some business cards on the front desk. Go ahead, swipe one, and if a question comes up, feel free to reach out. Could you click on that left one? What is the importance of urban Indian health programs?
The importance is to really capture our Indians living out in our urban areas, so that if there is any issues, healthcare, dental, counseling, but gives them a place with a Indian environment because they are in an urban setting. There's somewhere that they can call home and get the services that they need.
Sorry, have your posts go to Facebook, Twitter. Well, of course, you have to shorten it for Twitter, YouTube. How do you do that? Is there, I think it would be nice to kind of walk through, and maybe that's something that you give to the IT folks,
Yes.
our PR person.
Well,
Do
as
that, those tips, because otherwise we don't know, and then we're just putting it on Facebook and hoping that somebody shares it. But if we can put it on multiple platforms, that'd be great.
So I know like on Facebook and YouTube, there's actual buttons that you can select from their little apps. So like if you go to your Facebook page, there'll be a little apps or a little addition section that you can click on, and you can actually sync that to your Twitter account or your YouTube. So when you post on there, it'll actually say, like Shapiro Cambridge posted this on his Facebook page. And they'll do that on Twitter.
And
On
I think
YouTube,
I think that might have to do with privacy settings. I know I don't usually see that.
you have to accept it. It'll ask you a question, would you like to share your information? And you can go ahead and select that. On YouTube, actually, they have it to where you can it's a checkbox, and you can do what social media sites you want to post to. As soon as you post that video and it's uploaded, it'll post in your Facebook and on your Twitter saying that you posted a video and here's a link for it. And always, always, always make sure you add your website and add your other ways that they can reach you. Contact information, always add that in there. And yes, if you have any issues back at the office, feel free to have your communications or IT person reach on out. I'll talk with them and walk them through it.
Yes.
Anybody else? Questions?
Or if you don't have a question and then it comes up later, you can just send us an email saying like, hey, by the way, how did you do this or that? Instagram, YouTube, Tumblr, all these different things. We can help you, and if we don't know, we will research on it, and then Reno is an expert on that, really. Yeah. Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
No more
Thank you very much.
questions?
Oh.
There was a question a little earlier, I guess it was the overall general. Is there going to be information that going to be able to be sent to you guys from this conference? I guess that was one of the questions. And maybe you guys can visit with NCUIH on that, whether it was this one or the last workshop or whatever it may be.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I totally forgot to mention and promote our website. In a couple weeks, we're going to receive approval from different organizations and federal agencies to use the videos. We've been recording all the sessions. They'll be available, and the PowerPoint presentations will be available on our website as well. Give us about 2 weeks. It takes a little time for us to get approval from some agencies, and then we'll be editing everything and putting it up there. So if you missed any sessions or if you want to promote it, share it, and don't forget to point them towards our website. All right. Thank you.